What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Polestar. Go over some of the current data points, what's really been moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off on Friday, it did go up 1.53%, $1.30 the low, $1.37 the high. On a technical stance, it's showing some optimism, so I'll kind of end the video with some technical analysis. But aside from that, kind of low volume, 3.1 million in volume, 5.7 is the average. And another day that you kind of saw just a lot of shorts and algorithmic trading taking up majority of the volume, and rather than big money buying. So here shows all the transactions over the last 90 days above $100,000. So ultimately, there was one transaction, it looks like on Thursday, regrettably was a sell for 107,000. And then the last one was the 22nd for 123,000. But aside from that, as you can see, big money has been selling. And my last video was on the 14th, which was kind of talking on their earnings announcement and it being in January and how that potentially could be a very big red flag. And so in reality, I think it's back to normal where big money is just kind of sitting back and watching Polestar. And can you blame them? I know Polestar does and has invested quite a lot in its kind of foundation technology over the last year for the most part, but based on Tesla's earnings, that is phenomenal. They see a lot of good growth. Polestar has been hit and miss. And even going over here, looking at their upcoming earnings, which is once again in January, there's been one positive and one negative revisions to the earnings per share over the last 90 days. So analysts aren't really jumping up for joy, saying that Polestar is a screaming deal. When it was at 70, still you didn't really have that many analysts saying that it was a buy. At that stage, I was saying that the risk versus reward was very much up there, but there's things that Polestar are trying to transition its business plan, and I think that's good, but that is going to take time. A lot of people do not realize that, and in my opinion, maybe that is where they want to drop the bomb, because of course their news was saying that they want to have and talk on business strategy. So I think big things are coming for Polestar. Just people want to hear those sweet nothings from the new CEO. I can't recall his name right now. But still, aside from that, even looking on Polestar's social media, they're very, very active, but it's not really saying all that much. So 18 hours ago, 22 hours. So they're kind of more on the very, very active versus kind of the opposite spectrum, such as Lucid and Rivian. But the funny thing is about this one, I thought that this was like a spelling mistake. On a side note, I kind of learned something new. I didn't know that's the English way of saying tires. Kind of interesting. Learned something new, like I said. But aside from that, ultimately not all that much in actual news itself. And even like third-party articles aren't really talking on Polestar. So I think just Polestar now needs to prove themselves to the market that they are going to be a force to be reckoned with and they are worthy of buying, because even as well, just the general volume has been kind of low generally. So let me know your thoughts on that. Shorts, on the other hand, on Friday though, did return 427,000 shares. So like I mentioned, majority of the volume is shorts and algorithmic trading. This 427 is net, so it's not just that. There was a lot more. They're kind of trading back and forth, but 8.14% of the free flow is being shorted. Works out to be 31.14 million shares. Just for transparency, Polestar, in my opinion, is not a squeeze play, especially at 8% short interest. Cost to borrow average on us is roughly around 41, so 40.97. Utilization is 87.68, and then through IBKR does indicate around 100,000 shares is available to be shorted. So when it comes to shorts, I feel that once Polestar does unveil their new strategy, that's the stage where they'll kind of exit, in my opinion. And as I've brought up in previous videos, the timing of shorts, so the typical on average how long a short holds their position, is roughly around 50 days. So when they're getting in for kind of the short term, if that makes sense. So something once again to keep in mind. But No new analyst ratings, nothing along those lines for me to really bring up as far as updates. Looking at options, 9,400 in calls, 702 in puts. So nobody cares really about Polestar, and I think it's 100% resemblant based on this. Every growth stock has record number dollar value in options getting in, and that shows like attention, right? People are interested in those stocks, and rightfully so. The broader market, the data points are all pointing to more of an expansionary stage. This shows one of a dead company. So I'm just being critical. Obviously, I think Polestar being at the $1.30 range, it shows that Wall Street does still see a lot of risk essentially linked to it. If not, it'd be back at that $2 range and everything else. But 55% of all the options being done on Friday were optimistic and bullish, and that's just because they see it more so around that $1.50 or above $1.50 by November. Nothing really crazy as far as options aside from that. And then looking at puts, nobody's really doing puts on Polestar. But right now, with it at $1.33, it is slightly above this S1. So going into next week, $1.31 is going to be a strong support that you'll want to watch for it to hold. Flip side, $1.61 is going to be that next strong resistance / target. So Polestar is moving in the right direction finally, not at the same magnitude as other EVs and other growth stocks, but it's slow and steady. But as far as right now on the actual chart itself, it is right below the 50-day moving average, and kind of luckily enough, it was able to push higher on Friday above that 200-day moving average. But hopefully there is a nice level of buying. Shorts do continue to return as the market does really move higher. This is where essentially you could see just shorts returning, and that's just because they're mitigating risk, right? So if shorts are kind of shorting a majority of the market and the market runs up, they're going to cut some of their losses with stocks such as Polestar. So that could give it some push higher and hopefully get it above that 50-day moving average, which is sitting roughly around that $1.38 range. So all in all, I think Polestar is a good long-term investment, but there still, in my opinion, is a lot more pain to come for Polestar. And it kind of pains me to say that because I've been covering Polestar on and off for like 2.5 years, and I have seen so much optimism just get crushed time and time again, and that is because of Polestar's vision. And right now we will not have any update on their new vision and new strategy up until January. So I think from now until January it might be stagnant. There's not really any catalyst to go out and buy Polestar right now until they announce that part. So let me know your thoughts. If you disagree with me, that's completely fine, but let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below on why you disagree, because I get it. Polestar does have a lot of good opportunity. I've stated that. The fact that they've invested so much money in their technology, I think that is deserving of something, but Wall Street still just overlooks them. So I think they see just lackluster management or something. I'm not really sure, but yeah, what's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. 2 things: take advantage of this promo because it gives you 8 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. That is a kick-ass deal. And then over and above that, I did launch memberships. So if you are looking for buy signals on stocks and options, there is a kick-ass tier for you just to kind of take a look at. So I recommend you guys popping over there. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.